Well, on to the big story from Chennai as the city now unites to fight a toxic oil spill that has put marine life and local fishermen at risk. Telling visuals, as you can see on your screen in a little bit, it's estimated that over 20 tons of oil spilled after two tankers collided. The accident happened 5 days ago, has now grown to colossal proportions. The Coast Guard, local fishermen and volunteers now work together to clean up. Nearly 30 kilometers of coastal land, including the famous Marina beach, has been affected earlier today. Here's a special report sent in by Times Now.
Massive cleanup drive underway here at the Chennai's coastline after Sunday's oil spill, and this is the kind of situation that is prevailing on ground. People are manually cleaning the beach stretch, which is something which is very difficult at the moment, and this is something which is going on for the past 3 days, ever since the collision between both the ships happened at the Ennur port. So we are far away from the Ennur port, but still we can see the kind of damage that the collision has caused and the oil spill has caused. And here are some of the volunteers from different parts of Chennai who are involved in this process, though you can see how they are trying to clean up this entire stretch manually, and they don't have any kind of safety gear, which is something which is basic and which is important. But this is the kind of situation that is prevailing here on ground. How long you have been involved in this process and how difficult it is?
No, we have involved in this process from past 2 days, and yes, it is very difficult to do this because there is no safety precautions taken by the government of Tamil Nadu and government of India. This should have been controlled when the leakage has took place, but still it has spreaded very long, and cleaning up this process takes too much time. I don't know, it might take months together to clean up the complete process, and for marine life and for the livelihood of the fishermen, it's very difficult for them. I don't know how many days they will be living without food and all.
But initially the port authorities said that this is something, there is nothing to worry because there is no oil spill or there is no oil leakage. And after that, the next day they said that it is only 1 ton of oil that has leaked into the sea.
This happened on Saturday, right? Okay, if there is no any problem, then by now the government would have taken any caution to clean all those things. By not they taking? So we students took initiative to do all those things. By this process will be continued till a month. It takes more than a month to clean full entire process. Till that the marine growth and any organisms in the sea, they get damaged and the lifespan of them it get reduces.
All of us have pulled in our efforts to get the oil out of the sea. Till now, from 29th, we have got 60 tons of crude oil, which has been put in 1,000 liters, 500 liters and 200 liters drums. And from here, they are being dispatched out, and fresh drums are coming here. Right now, 60 tons have been purely removed manually. Some 54 tons has been collected by Super Sucker of Metro Chennai. Maybe a day or two, majority of the oil will be out, and subsequently the rock oil which is there, which is, you can see right in front of you, has to be hot washed, cleaned with pressure oil, so that it goes down and it is recollected. We have already issued a warning under Merchant Shipping Act to the ship owners. Ship owners are reacting to it. The ship which was having 38,000 metric tons of oil is under Ennur port control. It is a liability of the ship owners. So they have come across, they have got the technical advisor from UK. They have got a firm which has come from Bangalore. Though they are 5 days late, but nevertheless they are adding muscle to the efforts what we are doing.
இந்த எண்ணெய்னால எங்களுக்கு தொழில் ரொம்ப பாதிக்கப்படுது. இதனால என்ன செய்யனா மீன் இதை பத்தி வந்து வதந்தி கைப்பி விட்டாங்க. மீன் வந்து இது எண்ணெயை குடிச்சிச்சு, எண்ணெயை சாப்பிட்டுச்சு, அதனால மீன் வந்து யாரும் வாங்கக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டாங்க. எங்களுக்கு பாத்தீங்கன்னா நாங்கள் தொழிலுக்கு போனால் யாருமே இந்த மீனை வாங்க மாட்டாங்க. எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப ரொம்ப லாஸ் ஆயிடுச்சு.
தொழிலுக்கு வந்து நாங்கள் போக முடியாத அளவுக்கு 1 வாரம் ஆச்சுங்க இந்த எண்ணெய் பாதிப்புனால. ஆனால் மீன் பிடிச்சின்னு வந்தால் கூட எங்களுக்கு சரியாக விற்க மாதிரி எங்கள் கூட்டு குடும்பம்லாம் வந்து பாதிக்கப்படுதுங்க. தொழிலுக்கு போகிறதுக்கு கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது. அப்படியே போயிட்டு வந்தால் கூட யாரும் ஜனங்க மீன் வாங்க மாட்டாங்க. அப்போ குடும்பம் எப்படி போகிறதுக்கு? எங்கள் குடும்பம் எப்படி நாங்கள் பிழைக்கிறது? எங்களுக்கு வந்து கவர்மெண்ட் எங்களுக்கு உதவி பண்ணணும். அதுதாங்க.
Monday onwards, we are utilizing some 10 departments of state government along with Coast Guard. We are removing oil spillage. As of now, we have removed 45 metric ton and another 20 metric ton we have to remove, we presume. We hope by this evening we'll be able to complete. Nearly we have some 1,000 staff belonging to fishermen, fisheries department, revenue and RD rural development and Coast Guard, fire and rescue and highways. So 1,000 is more than enough for this place.
Well, the question we are asking this evening is, could the government have acted faster while waiting for students right now who are manually cleaning up the beach and the ocean? In the meantime, marine life is dying, fishermen are struggling. Is there currently a process in place that the government could have put in quite quickly? Remember, the accident happened 5 days ago. This is the 75th major oil spill that has happened in our country. 5 of those 75 have happened in Chennai alone. Is there a learning curve here? Should the government have been, whether the state or the central government, have been better equipped and action faster to solve the problem? Joining me on the show, Debi Goenka, Executive Trustee of the Conservation Action Trust, Vimlendu Jha an Environmentalist and the founder of Swecha. We'll also have Dr. Sumanth Raman join us in a little while. But in the meantime, Dr. Pravakar Mishra, Joint Director of the Integrated Coastal and Marine Area Management, also joins us on the show. I want to start, obviously, by asking Dr. Pravakar Mishra, could this have been contained if the government had acted faster? And is manual cleaning of the water and the beach the best way to solve the problem?
The problem here is actually the day it has occurred. There is the strong wind and also the time, because of the elite hours of the 5 o'clock morning. So I think there was a time, by the time it required to reach the coast, it was almost 6 hours it has reached the coast. So that is the biggest challenge for any type of this type of spilling. So by the time the strong current and the strong wind is one of the factors that brings to the coast. So there is a strong southerly current, and that's the reason it has reached the coast, and it was within the limit of 8 kilometers.
All right, there seems to be a problem with the audio here. We'll try and get that fixed. Debi Goenka and Vimlendu Jha. Vimlendu Jha, I'm going to come to you first. Could this have been better handled, Vimlendu? Is there a process in place that the government should be following to act faster?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we are having this conversation on day 6. The reason why this problem has become so grave is primarily because we did not respond on day 1. The reason why this has actually spread almost 25 to 30 kilometers, almost 25 to 30 kilometers of Chennai coastline has been completely affected right now, is because we were not able to contain it on time. And we've actually seen last 4 days the kind of flip-flops by the central government as well as the state government, because they first said that there was no oil spill. Imagine something of this sort, an accident of this magnitude was actually reported by a fisherman, and then no response altogether, then finally saying that there's only 1 ton of oil that actually sipped through. So we are talking about absolute failure on the part of the local government, national government, and the impact that it actually has. The reason why our authorities are actually facing the challenge right now is because it has actually taken so much time. In 6 days, the entire sludge oil actually decomposes, breaks further, gets mixed with sand, and that's why the entire coastline right now is just a sludge. The visuals that you're actually showing is pathetic. We talk about olive ridley turtles being found dead. We're talking about more than 500 species of fish that actually survive in that coastal in Chennai coastline. So the impact that it has on marine biodiversity, the impact that it actually has on public health, because in the entire coastal area, we're talking about the food chain, the entire dependence of people on marine biodiversity and the way it is linked to the food chain. So it's very tragic. The situation has become this terrible because we did not respond. We didn't even acknowledge that this was a problem. And at the highest level, at the level of the minister, we said there was no problem at all. So system is is faulty, responses are faulty, preparedness is faulty.
Right, I have Apsara Reddy on the phone line right now. AIADMK. Okay, Apsara Reddy joins us right now. I'm so glad in the studio. Apsara, thank you for joining us, ma'am. You represent the AIADMK. You heard Vimlendu Jha just tell us that there was a failure in reaction from the state government and the central government. First, there was a complete denial of this accident. Then there was a report saying only 1 ton of oil. Now we're hearing 20 tons of oil. And we've seen students, children who are standing there up to their ankles, up to their waist in oil. They have no protective gear. They're trying to manually clean up the beach. Couldn't we have done a better job? Couldn't this have been a quicker reaction?
First of all, I must, I've heard very briefly what your previous speaker was saying. I don't think you can blame the state government for any lapse, because the minute we were informed by the central government, although the central government was in denial initially and then they communicated to us, we swung into action. The Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, our Fisheries Minister, Mr. D. Jayakumar sir, and of course the corporation officials, everybody swung into action, went to the site. The 1,000 volunteers that you see on the site are also pressed into action because of a formal request from the government to these students. And of course, whatever resources we have within the state, we're doing our best. And I think we've always been prepared for any calamity, whether it's the cyclone, whether it's any kind of natural disasters recently that Tamil Nadu has faced. We've been a numero uno state, and we've done the right thing by our people. But I feel the centre should have also acted swiftly, and in fact we have no central forces here yet. I think they're arriving tomorrow, is what my party sources tell me. But I really feel that the central government should have swung into action, and natural disasters are national disasters. So I think the central government should take a little more responsibility.
Vimlendu, you wanted to respond to that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to just say that no doubt the central government is responsible. But at the same time, madam, if you look at the visual, you actually got the volunteers. Do you even realize what you're actually subjecting these so-called 1,000 volunteers that you've mobilized to? They're actually cleaning the place with their bare hands. You're subjecting them to toxic remains of the oil spill. So one is the larger long-term impact that this disaster will have, and the other is very consciously, because of a failure of your disaster management protocol processes at the state level, you're actually getting common citizens to touch that toxic oil, that sludge with their hand. What kind of a responsible or / irresponsible government or citizens representative are you?
So to respond to that, I'm very aware of what the volunteers are doing on the premises. Well, we definitely, our health department and our health minister and health officials are on site. We will take whatever precautionary measure, but since you've brought it to our attention, I'm not going to turn a blind eye to it and get defensive about it. We'll definitely take that feedback on board. I will put it to the government, but I'm very, very confident and sure that this issue will be resolved with zero effect to any of human lives or to the sea life.
Debi Goenka, that unfortunately, it's a little late to say zero effect to sea life, because that effect has already happened. We're looking at footage on the screen of those very precious olive ridley turtles who are washing up on the shore dead. Is it already too late, Debi Goenka?
I think it's a clear failure on part of all the governments together. There's a disaster management plan supposed to be in place, which is supposed to be dealing with problems of this kind. The Coast Guard is supposed to be in overall charge of the disaster management exercise, but the state government, the Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, etc., are supposed to be helping the Coast Guard to tackle this kind of spill. Now it seems that for the first 48 hours, nothing was done to stop the oil from leaking. And in fact, this delay has proved crucial, and this is what has caused the damage.
No, ideally, what should have been the reaction, Debi Goenka?
In an accident, in an accident of this kind, they should have immediately tried to plug the leak. If they couldn't have plugged the leak, they should have pumped the oil from the leaking vessel into another barge or into another vessel, and they should have actually put containment booms around the leakage vessel so that the oil wouldn't spread so far. If this had been done within a few hours of the leakage being reported, we would not have been seeing this. This kind of damage would not have been caused. The damage to marine life would not have happened, and thousands of people would not have been exposed to these kind of toxic chemicals. In addition to what the previous speaker has said, handling this oil, they are also breathing in benzene fumes,
Yes.
and other aromatic fumes, which is going to poison their lungs.
Pravakar Mishra, whose responsibility was it? We've just heard Apsara Reddy tell us that the central government did not tell the state government of the accident. Whose responsibility was it to put in place those emergency reactions of pumping the oil out immediately, containing the spill?
No, actually, this Ministry of Earth Science to which I belong, we have actually monitoring the coastline for a long time. So we have a program, so we are monitoring. So we are we will see the effect after effect. But the responsibility...
Dr. Mishra, when you say monitoring the coastline, what does that mean? What do you mean by monitoring the coastline?
At this point of time.
You mean they will let the damage happen and they will study the impact of the damage 5 years later and bring out a report saying this is what happened?
Along the coastline.
That is what these guys do.
We'll study the... Yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly. We will be doing that. So we'll in the next in a periodic time-wise we'll monitor and how much, what will be the effect on this particular oil spill on the different organisms and the biodiversity will be assessing.
Dr. Mishra, with all due respect, the organisms will be dead before you study them.
At this point of time, I do not know.
It's not his job to protect the organisms.
Absolutely.
It's his job to study them.
That's not going to happen like that. That is not going to happen. Actually, the oil what is spilled, it's
already happening,
spreading,
sir.
No
I think you should send your team to find out the number of olive ridley turtles that have been floated ashore.
Right. Dr. Mishra, go ahead. Tell us exactly what you believe the impact is right now.
Not due to not exactly. No, not exactly what means the olive ridley turtle is going means the death of olive ridley turtle. What is coined with this oil spill? There are several reasons for olive ridley turtle death. But what I want to say that definitely there will be some impact on the coast. So, but on the biodiversity, but that has to be assessed properly. Immediate there is some fish will be killed. Okay. So we will lose some of the things, okay, but it needs a proper approach to understand and how it is going to affect with the long term. Definitely that has to be assessed.
Well, okay, let me bring in Vimlendu Jha here and Apsara Reddy after that. Vimlendu Jha, first of all, it does seem like we're ignoring the immediate effects. The fact that there's already marine life dying. We've heard the fishermen talk to us on camera saying that we can't go out to fish in shallow water. Nobody will buy the fish right now because everybody thinks the fish is dangerous and they're worried about touching the water themselves. So it's not a question of assessing the long-term impact of what's happening to Chennai's beach, which we understand and we know is the pride of the city. It does seem like this is just negligence.
Absolutely. So, it's so unfortunate that our government representatives are still saying they'll find out whether there has been an impact or not. It's common sense, it's common visual to see a dead fish, a dead turtle, the sludge, the toxins, the benzene, the hydrocarbons all together, to really, for a layperson also to tell that there is an impact already, and a lot of it is because it's man-made, it's government-made. We need to understand and really make them feel responsible that we would not have arrived this far if they would have acted in time. If they would have actually contained this oil spill in time, we wouldn't have seen the visuals that we're actually seeing. So it's a matter of, it's a joke that these guys have actually made our ecological governance, our city governance, our coastline governance into when we respond after 6 days. After response, we still don't accept and acknowledge that there was a mistake so that we don't repeat this mistake again.
Absolutely.
Because as you said, there's been almost over 70 such disasters. Seems like this is going to be one of the biggest environmental disasters in recent times. And imagine, as in right now, we've actually seen Tamil Nadu in last fortnight go through the kind of turmoil in the name of many other things. This is also culture. Conservation is also culture. Governance is also culture. It's, you know, we need to really connect few things and own up a few things rather than just say, oh, well,
Vimlendu Jha, this is a question I want to take to Apsara Reddy. Apsara Reddy, we understand that the Marina Beach, where everybody protested for Jallikattu, the Marina Beach is the pride of Chennai. It is the pride of Tamil Nadu. We've heard people say this over and over again. Where are all those thousands of people who protested on the beach? Where is that pride today? Why hasn't the government acted faster? If you are telling me that the central government didn't inform you, and if there was a 20-ton oil spill off the coast of Chennai, off Marina Beach, why did the government, state government, wait until it hit the beach, until it hit the coast of Chennai? Where is everybody who said so much about the pride of Chennai? Where are they today?
The question about where are the crowds, you must put it to the crowds, because it was a voluntary student movement. So I'm sure they're listening to you, and if that's what they want to bring up, I'm sure it's based on them. I don't think I can answer that question for you. But in terms of the state government, there's a certain limitation in terms of the resources, in terms of the kind of resource we can press into service immediately. So when the central government got out of its denial mode and communicated with us, we activated our district administration, pressed volunteers into service. All our health officials, pollution control board officials are that this is a national disaster and nobody is 100% prepared for any such disaster. We're trying to mitigate the damage that's happened so far, and we're committed to doing the right thing by our ecosystem.
Now, with all due respect, this is the 75th major oil spill that has happened in this country. 75. And 5 of those spills happened off the coast of Chennai. So we can't say today that there is no precedent, that nobody is really fully prepared for this. We have to be fully prepared for this. If you are a coast that has those tankers passing by you on a constant basis, you have to be prepared.
The minute we were informed, we took action. The minute we were informed, the port comes under the purview of the central government, if I can remind you. The minute we were informed, our minister has been there 3 times already. Our entire party leadership is very focused on meetings from morning till evening, most days, and we're doing our best that we can. We're still waiting for the central teams to arrive, and we hope that they will help us in restoring the balance, eco-balance in that area.
So are you saying...
I need to correct a few things.
Yes.
See, first of all, if a disaster is happening along the shoreline of a state,
I have to ask
it is the state government's responsibility to inform the central government that this is what has happened. Secondly, as I mentioned earlier, there's a multi-tier disaster management plan supposed to be in place. The apex agency is the Coast Guard, but the state government, the State Pollution Control Board is supposed to be helping the Coast Guard to do it. Okay. They're supposed to have all the infrastructure required to tackle these kind of spills, including specialized pumps, specialized equipment, containment booms, the whole works, including chemicals that will help
so we did use containment booms, the pollution control board.
It's quite evident that none of this happened for 5 days. And I don't know whether the state government and the central government were busy celebrating Republic Day or the reintroduction of Jallikattu or whatever. But obviously this was not on anybody's priority for 48 hours. And that delay has proved fatal, as we can all see. It's really very tragic that they're still in denial mode. It's still very tragic that the equipment required is still not being deployed.
So Debi Goenka, whose responsibility is it to be 100% prepared for an oil spill like this right now? Is it the state government's responsibility or the central government's responsibility to have emergency services prepared and ready to stop that spill from actually reaching the coast and to contain the damage?
It's a combined responsibility of the state government, the central government and the port authorities and the Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board. All these 4 agencies are required to work in conjunction and help stop this kind of thing from happening. And it's quite obvious that for 48 hours nobody did anything. It took the fishing community to report this. It has taken volunteers to come and help solve this problem. The government agencies, the government officers, all the people who are supposed to be tackling this are conspicuous by their absence. And we have a political representative trying to make excuses for the failure of a government to tackle this.
Apsara Reddy, you want to respond to that? The fact that at the end of the day, it is the state government's responsibility to monitor the coast.
The fishing communities are very vital to our economy, to our society. We're in dialogues with the fishing community and we will represent their interests 100%. Our pollution control board officials were pressed into service the minute it came within our ambit of the state government because the ports are monitored the central government. I'm not trying to make excuses for any government here. We have a larger issue at hand to deal with, and we will deal with it most effectively.
Communities need to be compensated, not to be represented. And I think if the state government is going to compensate them for the loss of income, for the damage that the fishing boats and nets have suffered, I think that is more in keeping with what is required than just mere things about representing.
Going with the culture of
I think the government should have announced a compensation package by now and started in fact distributing money to the affected communities.
All right. In fact, I have someone on the phone.
If you look at the pattern, and the culture of AIADMK government over the years, over decades, if you follow us, we've always compensated any community that's been damaged, whether by the fault of natural disasters or because of other governments. We've always taken the interest
at heart. It's not about compensation politics. It's governance is not about compensation.
Not at all. No, I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question about whether they will be compensated 100%.
It's about responsibility, accountability, and governance. Because
we're a very responsible and accountable government. Our ministers are right there.
Look at the way people are actually countering that menace there. They are all in the sludge, your members. The citizens are in the sludge trying to clear the mess. Where your political representatives, your government representatives were on the site, what were they watching this spectacle? What's the response? For 48 hours that you've known this, of course this has taken almost 6 days for all of you guys to really have this conversation at least. Is this what is called response for a responsible government, for so-called one of the most proudest states of India, one of the most, and we've seen Chennai floods, we've seen so many ecological disasters in
all
the
of
last
which were handled very well
and
by our
this
government.
Is preparedness?
In fact, Gopal Krishna is on the phone line right now. Vimlendu Jha, I have a viewer on the phone line right now. Gopal Krishna is on the phone line with a question. Gopal, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Good evening. We are all talking about the damage to the marine species and other things. That Chennai is undergoing a severe water crisis now.
Yes.
Because of the failure of monsoon, and the drinking water supply is met by the two major desalination plants, one in Minjur, another at Nemili. And the spread of the oil spill to 30 kilometers towards Mahabalipuram, Nemili is also coming under the zone. And of course, the intake pipes have not been submerged fully deep under the sea because it has just put in a improper design that during the cyclone, the mud and all the sand got choked into the intake. Desalination plants have to be shut down for a quite longer period for cleaning up. Every possibility, the sludge and the oil will get into the intake pipes, and this will damage the entire membrane system soon.
Yes,
and the desalination will come to a halt also in a shorter period. What are the government authorities doing now to save the desalination plant and to ensure water supply?
Water supply to Chennai, that's a great question. We got cut off, but Gopal Krishna has a great question. Apsara, Reddy, ma'am, do you want to answer that question? Are the desalination plants which supply water to Chennai at risk at this point, and is the government taking necessary steps?
I can't give you a specific answer to that because I'm not qualified in that area, but I'm sure our health department and our pollution control board and our corporation officials who are working round the clock will find a suitable solution for this problem. I pray and wish and hope that we have the support of our citizens and people around. All your viewers are watching us, and to understand this as a disaster. Yes, we were maximum prepared for this. Whatever best we can do, continuing and taking this forward to restore the balance of the ecosystem and our citizens, we will do.
Sumanth Raman joins us right now in our Chennai studio. Sumanth Raman, thank you for joining us and giving us your time. Do you believe that this was inaction that caused the problem to reach the shores of Chennai? Could it have been contained? Could either state or central government have acted faster?
It is a combination of things. First of all, Tamil Nadu is not used to this kind of an environmental issue. I mean, if this had been a cyclone or this had been something along those lines, we have seen enough and we know reasonably how to handle those. True. This was something which was totally where the state was not prepared because this is not common here. I was told that there are less than 10 people in among the various ports in Tamil Nadu who have experience in dealing with oil slicks. Okay. So apparently there is specialized training which is available on how to deal with this problem. There is a categorization into various levels of the severity of the issue and so on. But apparently there are only about less than 10 people who are aware of all this in the state. So I think, it's very difficult to blame the state government also, because I think this is something which has not happened before here. Of course, it is all right to say having so many large ports, we should have been prepared. I think there is no doubt about that. But I think right now, regarding your question, which the gentleman raised regarding desalination plants and all that, I don't think there is enough expertise available at this point of time to assess what will be the complete damage. Ideally, if the state government can call in the best in the business, maybe from abroad, those who are used to dealing with oil slicks, those who know what kind of long-term damages can occur, more than the immediate damage to the marine environment and so on, I think that will be much more appropriate than pretending that corporation or local body, local authorities can do the job. This is uncharted territory as far as corporation is concerned, or the pollution control board or the health department is concerned. I know, and I've interacted with many of them, and it is not something they're familiar with. Many of them don't even know how this whole thing is to be handled. So I think it's not fair to lay the entire salvage operation at the door of the state government and say, you guys handle it. I think what needs to be done is a coordinated approach between the state and the center. Maybe if the National Disaster Response Force should be called in for some support. International agencies used to fighting large oil slicks. I think that is really where we should be concentrating on. Rather than
so let me just put this one thing out there.
They don't even know what to do.
I just need to correct a few things here.
Sumanth, Raman, let me just give you some data. I have with me a list of major and minor oil spills in Indian waters since 1982. In 1992, 1,000 tons of crude was spilled off the coast of Kochi. 1992, 1,000 tons of SKO off Madras harbour by the MT Albert Eka that spilled. 94, 200 tons off Madras by MV Sagar. 95, tanker wash spilt on Elliott Beach near Madras, unknown source. After that, 2010, 5 tons off the coast of South Chennai from an unknown source.
Can I?
Yes.
At those points of time, the awareness on all this was much lower than what it is today. Even the awareness of the kind of
awareness couldn't have been much lower. I think the awareness today is zero.
For instance, this question of this desalination plants and all that.
I think the awareness today is zero. So how could it have been much lower earlier?
I mean, the awareness in the 90s was lower. At least now, I mean, there's at least an awareness that this will cause some harm, though we don't know what exactly.
Apsara Reddy, the truth is that the government could have been better prepared. We have it on paper that it has happened in the past. It has happened in the past off the coast of Chennai. So there is some learning that should have been available with the state government. I'm not in any way, absolving the central government of its responsibility. I agree with you. A tremendous level of the responsibility lies with the central government. But ma'am, the state government should also take responsibility here.
The state government is a very responsible and quick responsive government, and that's why we are there on site with all our officials, our chief ministers in constant meetings. In fact, even our fisheries minister interacted with the local communities.
After telling the Coast Guard there was no oil slick. There was no oil spill. I think she's not aware of what happened initially.
I'm very aware, and you joined the show much later. I did mention to you there was a lot of denial and miscommunication in the beginning. But as I said earlier, we are committed to doing the best possible thing in the situation right now. We're not into the blame games. We will do the best thing for our fishing community, local communities, and overall environment. I request all of you have suggestions, put it to the government. We will do our best, and all our officials, Pollution Control Board, corporation officials, and the minister are on site, and we will do the best possible thing for Tamil Nadu.
Well, Apsara Reddy, ma'am, I have this question for you. We're looking at footage, like I pointed out, of average citizens, of students themselves who volunteered. They're currently, like we said, waist deep in the slick themselves. They don't have enough protection from what they're dealing with. From what I understand on this panel, we don't even know what we're dealing with. We don't know what the dangers are of coming in physical contact with this slick. We're looking at those people that are touching it with their bare hands or with very minimal gloves. Why isn't there more?
As I said earlier, I 100% will put this to the health department and the corporation officials. We are waiting for the central teams to arrive with more resources tomorrow. whatever resources we have, we will use them in the best possible way. I will put this message of precaution out there to the students on site.
I'm sorry, this
and
is
I
just
have
not
to go
good
right
enough.
now. Any final questions? I can take it. I can just take it right now.
Okay, so here's my question now. After watching,
may I just make a point?
Yeah, no, a very quick question to Apsara, after which I'll hand it to you, Debi. After watching this story now that is escalated on national television, I have no doubt that more students of Chennai will come back to the beaches of Marina, which they consider the pride of this city. They're all going to go waist deep into the slick and touch it with their bare hands. What advice is the government giving to these laymen volunteers who might come in with an attempt to help? Should they stay off the water? Should they get into the water? What advice? Has there been any health advisory at all?
The volunteer body is in a close contact with our government officials. I will 100% put all the panelists' views also to the officials working on ground. And if we have any further participation from civil society, we will take 100% precautions to make sure that they actively get involved in cleaning up the ecosystem, but in a safe way. Thank you. I have to be somewhere else. I'll excuse myself, but thank you so much for the time.
May I just make one comment before you leave, ma'am? All you have to do is ask the collector to open his disaster management plan manual, look at the oil contingency section, and to implement that immediately. I don't think you need to do much more than that. And a very valuable suggestion has come in from a phone caller. You have to protect your desalination plant from oil contamination
right now, you actually
immediately.
make that phone call.
If they get contaminated, they would be a disaster for the city.
Right, in
Thank
fact,
you so much, sir, for all your advice. But I'm sure the collector is working round the clock to do the best thing possible. And I'm sure he's perused that book many times over. But
let me point out that the collector in question here is a woman.
I think this kind of thing is not helping matters here. Come on.
Sumanth, Raman, go ahead.
I think you have to accept that these are things about which, I mean, if they are going to tell me that everything is already known to the state government, is nothing more ridiculous than that. I think the state government is quite responsive to seeking external assistance, and I'm sure they will do it. But I think the party spokesperson is actually doing more harm to the state government's cause than what what she should be. The logical way of approaching this is saying, yes, there has been a miscommunication and there has been a problem, and now we will seek whatever help is required, and we will look at whatever the manuals say, and we will start doing the things now instead of saying we are fully aware of what to do. I don't think they are fully aware of what to do.
In fact, just to illustrate that point, and since Debi Goenka brought up the collector, our reporter spoke with the collector in question here about what is being done. I just want to play this out one more time so our panel can listen in to the measures being taken by the collector, who's supposed to, according to Debi Goenka, have a manual to help them deal with this current situation.
Monday onwards, we are utilizing some 10 departments of state government along with Coast Guard. We are removing oil spillage. As of now, we have removed 45 metric ton, and another 20 metric ton we have to remove, we presume. We hope by this evening we'll be able to complete. Nearly we have some 1,000 staff belonging to fishermen, fisheries department, revenue, and RD rural development, and Coast Guard, fire and rescue, and highways. So 1,000 is more than enough for this place.
Okay, so there must have been some miscommunication there. Debi Goenka, point number one, the collector says Monday onwards we started the work, which means that...
Which is a very honest statement.
Yes. Secondly, she says 1,000 staff, I think, is enough. We should be able to handle the problem. And we just heard Apsara Reddy of the state government say that we're waiting for the centre to send staff because we are understaffed at this point, and until the centre sends help to us, we will not be able to get the job under control. So there's obviously some miscommunication happening between the collector there and the state government. The state government seems to think that the centre needs to act. The collector is very confident that with 100 members or with 1,000 members of staff, she is able to solve the problem, and she seemed fairly in control of what she was talking about.
It's quite obvious the collector doesn't know her job as far as tackling this problem is concerned. The collector has the power to requisition all kinds of equipment and machinery to tackle oil spills. They can do it from industry, they can do it from ports, they can do it from the Pollution Control Board. And this kind of stuff does not have to be cleaned manually. They could have pumped this sludge onto a barge or to any other vessel rather than getting 1,000 citizens involved in this kind of dirty and dangerous exercise.
You're saying this exercise is being conducted by someone who doesn't know what they're doing?
Exactly right.
All right, Sumanth, Raman?
No, can I add one point?
Please, sir.
To be fair to her, this collector is known throughout the state for she's being extremely earnest and extremely. It's quite possible that she may not know and she may not have the knowledge to take a call on what actually needs to be done, and she may be waiting for instructions or whatever. But among the various collectors in the various districts, this lady is known to be a very earnest, very hardworking, and a sincere, good officer.
So I would not,
appropriate any blame to her. It's quite possible that she's overwhelmed by the situation. She doesn't know.
Okay.
Mr. Raman,
is it then in that case that the state government is using this opportunity to politicize the whole thing by blaming it on the central government? If the collector actually says that 1,000 people are enough, and she's actually the one on the ground because our reporter met her on the ground.
I'm not doling out. I'm saying that there is no knowledge, sir. I am not doling out compliments. There has been.
I'm sorry to correct you there. There is lots of knowledge available. You have to know where to look for it.
Emergency accountability needs to be fixed rather than to tell them that state government or central government or we are not interested in their records here of what they've done. The fact that on day 6 we are discussing a national disaster of this magnitude means they are not good enough. So let's not even get into how good this collector is or how fanciful this state government is that you've been talking about last 10 minutes. The thing is that it's an emergency situation that we have all arrived in.
No, that's not the point.
And let's
the point
not
is
talk
not
about
that.
credentials.
The point is,
let's
why
talk
can't
about
people who have the expertise come in to help?
Okay.
I mean, the state
so here's my question then.
So
here's all right. Vimlendu Jha, Sumanth Raman, 1 second. Sumanth Raman has a fair point. Why can't people who have the expertise come in then? There is an Institute of Oceanography in Pondicherry. There is an IIT Madras in Chennai itself. Chennai doesn't lack the intelligence or the expertise. Dr. Pravakar Mishra is sitting right next to you, Sumanth Raman. There is plenty of expertise in Chennai. My concern here is the constant response we got from the state government here was we're waiting for the central government to react. The central government did not inform us about the oil spill. The central government has not sent forces. Now, if you're telling us that an honest, and there's no reason to doubt, an honest collector on the job seems to believe that 1,000 people are enough. Is the state government then politicizing the issue by dragging the central government into it? Have they begun a blame game that's quite unnecessary instead of simply solving the problem? Sumanth Raman?
Question to me.
That's for you. Yeah.
No, that's what I told. That's what exactly it happened. Accident has happened. We have a team actually. We have the expertise to do whatever the cleanup exercise we can do. Coast Guard is on the job. But the thing is, that what I mentioned, that in a situation like a strong current system, strong wind system, and in the early morning in the system, things what you need to mobilize, maybe it will take time, okay. But I don't know exactly, but what I am saying that it can reach, it is very near to the shore, the accident has happened. So it reached the coast. So now how to make it, how to clean it and how to make a better environment, that is our worry. But I don't know exactly what what I want to say, that we are actually, as a scientific department, we are on the job, we are trying to assess the system, and that's what we can do, because accident is accident. So that's what.
Accidents are accidents, accidents happen.
Blame game, whether the center should have intervened or whether the state government should have done more. Yeah, accidents happen, and I think all of us need to put our best foot forward. Yeah. So I think also that the fact that there has been a delay, it has happened, that can wait for a detailed inquiry to happen after the slick is handled. Right now, the priority should be to minimize the damage and to protect whatever areas need to be protected. And I think that we should all focus jointly, whether state, center, expert agencies, towards that, instead of pointing fingers and saying that the collector made a wrong statement.
No, okay, Sumanth Raman, the environmentalists on the panel right now, I accept what you're saying. Our concern here is that both of the environmentalists on the panel agree that this slick is not being cleaned, should not be cleaned manually. There are methods in which that can be done much faster in a manner that will minimize the damage. So obviously that's not happening fast enough. So even if we are trying to solve the problem, the solutions are not coming fast enough.
Look, there are already environmentalists who are connected and working with the state government on this. Like, there can always be differences of opinion between different groups of environmentalists. So I don't know, whether this is one of those issues, because I did read that there was two different types of equipment and one of them was junked in favor of the other. And I don't remember the names offhand, but I did read about information a few hours ago. So the point is, yes, if there are environmentalists.
All right, I think the concern here among the environmentalists is not which type of equipment is being used, because as we can see, the equipment being used at this point are common buckets.
Exactly, as in Mr. Raman is very confused here. We're talking about fairly simple, that is there an impact on the marine biodiversity in the long term, and is there a short-term impact on people who are actually dealing with these toxins right now, with the sludge right now with their bare hands? That's the problem. There's no confusion between environmentalists and camps of environmentalists that Mr. Raman is actually talking about. Clearly, it's misgovernance. Clearly, it's late response. Clearly, it's insufficient response. And the worst part is that we don't really know what's going to happen in the next 3-4 days. And we don't really know what is going to happen when the next oil spill happens. And my pain and grief comes from that. One is that we don't learn from these things. We can make a mistake once, not again and again and again, and keep hiding behind several excuses. And if civil society members and political commentators also try to really, not be a little soft. I'm not saying that he's supporting the pollutants and bad governance, but sometimes we need to call a spade and really solicit accountability, responsibility, and timely response.
Right. In fact, Ramchandra Menon, who's a marine engineer himself, is on the phone line right now. He's called us because he wants to be part of the conversation. Mr. Menon, go ahead. What would you like to say?
Thank you, Madam Faye. And I want to say that basically the contingency plan is not in place. That is very evident. And I was sailing many years ago. Even those years, there used to be a preventive measure taken when the vessel enters a port. Okay, then the accident is unpredictable. Nonetheless, the contingency plan lacks, and there is one Mercantile Marine Department, the IMO regulations, which would tell you exactly or more or less how to tackle this issue. Because like someone said, the consequences are not even thought of by the people here who are not at all connected to the marine field. And our coastline is so vast. It is not something that it is to be neglected so much. You must have contingency plans in place, always in readiness, like we have the fire brigade, etc. This can be, it should be done. There's a lot to be done in this regard.
So Mr. Menon, tell us, according to you, you've been a marine engineer your entire life. What should the contingency have been if there was a collision between two tankers off the coast of Tamil Nadu? What should have been done to contain the spill so it doesn't reach Chennai?
In the first place, this collision should have been avoided. You should have Yokohama fenders among vessels. You spend the money. There is no dearth of money as far as I can see, even just post this budget. We are all taxpayers.
No, but Mr. Okay, so let's assume, let's take for granted the fact that the government has said this was an accident and accidents happen. So the accident happened 5 days ago. What could have been done according to you? What should have been done?
Yes, 5 days ago. That's alarming. Absolutely alarming. You should have been, if the contingency plan was there, like you have booms all around readily available near the coastlines, you could have spread them around. At least that spreading of this spill would have been prevented. And then the subsequent effect on marine life and everything. Look at these people working barefooted and all those things. This is very, 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 very primitive method of doing this. You consult the Mercantile Marine Department or international marine organizations, and 5 days since nobody has even consulted. That's also another strange thing. What does the collector know about these things? I mean, you should have a person who is really, tackle such situations. They would have, instead of blaming, Blame game.
Absolutely, that's a very good point. Sumanth Raman, and you pointed out that you read somewhere that one type of equipment was chosen over another type of equipment. But my concern is we saw just now footage from today. The Coast Guard is overseeing the operation. This is aerial footage. Coast Guard is overseeing an operation where the only equipment that's being used are human hands and a bucket. You have 3 human chains and buckets. Where is the equipment? We don't see equipment.
Let me correct you on this. No. 1 minute. No. There is one type of equipment which is being used at a different point in the coast from where these cameras actually have captured this footage. So it is not that no equipment is being used and the entire operation is being done manually is not quite correct. There is equipment being used. I'm just not able to get the name of that particular equipment which is being used.
He doesn't know the name of the equipment, he doesn't know the location, but he knows it's there.
So there are efforts being made.
And I just want to clarify a few things.
I know, sir, it is an area of course.
There is a contingency plan which is prepared for the entire country.
One minute. One second. I'm not an expert in marine.
Then let the expert speak
to sort of know what is the name of the equipment which is used to clear it.
Yeah, but
the
where
point
is it?
I'm trying to make it. One is for a fact.
So let the expert
there is equipment being used.
Where?
Period. Now you can go and verify that with the state government, and they can probably get footage from somewhere else. But I think that you have to know. You tell us. It's not that the state government is having a closed mind and saying we are not ready. We will only evacuate everything using buckets and volunteers. Not at all. Please tell us if there is an ideal way, better way of doing this with different types of equipment that you just mentioned. I will positively connect whoever is interested in providing that information to the state government, and we can all work together and solve this rather than saying.
Debi Goenka, give us the solutions.
For the benefit of Mr. Raman, let me repeat what I've already said. There is a national contingency oil spill plan. A document is there. There's a state level plan, which documents are there for every state. There's a district level plan which is prepared by the collector, which is available for anybody who wants to read it. And as I said earlier, the collector and the Coast Guard have powers to requisition equipment from industries, from municipalities, from any agency like the port that would have these kind of pumps. Industry is very familiar with what are called sludge pumping things, which should be used to pump out this kind of oil from the sea. Containment booms are required to make sure the oil doesn't spread further. And I think containment booms need to be deployed along the desalination plants to make sure the oil doesn't get sucked into the desalination plants and then, destroy the drinking water supply for Chennai. And these are things that are already documented. Funds have been made available by the Government of India and large amount of funds. The equipment is supposed to be in place. There's supposed to be periodic training exercises and disaster management exercises that are supposed to be carried out periodically, none of which seems to have happened. And we are seeing the result for ourselves. This is a case of sheer negligence, and no attempt of cover-up is going to hide over the fact that people who should have acted have failed to act, that action that was required to be taken has not been taken, and even 6 days after the event, people are still unprepared, bureaucrats are unprepared, ministers are unprepared, political commentators are unprepared. It's a very sad state of affairs.
All right, I've run out of time on this debate. I have to close this here, but this is true that the citizens of Chennai who consider that beach your pride of your city and your state have to demand better accountability from all governments responsible. And governments are responsible, like Debi Goenka has pointed out, on every level, from the very basic Coast Guard and the district collector right up till the national government. There is money being set aside. There are plans and contingencies that are documented and are placed in everybody's offices. So no amount of saying we're not used to this, we didn't expect it would happen, we don't know how to solve the problem, none of that holds good. None of that is a valid excuse. Your pride in Tamil Nadu, your pride in the beach, your pride of Tamil should come out now. Demand accountability. Demand that your government do better than a human chain of fishermen and 3 buckets. That cannot be the solution for what you're seeing right now. We have the equipment, we have the money, we have the expertise, and we have the manuals that tell you what to do. What else could a government possibly need? This cannot be the state of affairs in this day and age. This is just not good enough. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.